5 is town session. Please rise for pledge of allegiance. Allegiance to the flag, United States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Phelps here. Steph Rudy here. Moranti.
Here.
Mizan.
Here.
Morris. Here. Kern. Roberts. Here. Roney.
Here.
Sarver.
Here.
Volo.
Here.
President DiPietro.
Here.
Quorum present.
Can I have an introduction and a second? Dispense with the reading of the minutes of the October 9th, 21st, and 30th meetings and place them on file. Discussion and a second. Vicky and Joanne. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports have been posted to the city website. Can I have an introduction and a second to place them on file? One and Vicky. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that's carried also. So we have quite a few communications. I hope you made yourself familiar with the Hudson Housing Authority documents. And may I have an introduction and a second to place all the communications on file? Trisha and Lola. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Okay, we'll go over the resolutions from last week that were introduced. First is Planning Commissioner of Deeds. Unless that someone has something to say, a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Phelps. Steph Rudy. Aye. Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris. Aye. Kern.
Here. Voting.
Remotely. Commissioner of Deeds.
Yay.
Robert.
Yes.
Rose. Sarver.
Aye.
Volo. President DiPietro. Carried.
The next resolution approves the sale of Long Avenue. Are there any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Phelps.
Aye.
Steph Rudy.
Aye.
Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Kern.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Roney.
Aye.
Sarver.
Aye.
Volo.
Aye.
President DiPietro.
Aye.
Carried.
The next resolution is an amendment for attorney fees. Questions? Comments?
I have a question.
Okay.
So this is an extra 20,000 planning board wants for their legal fees, correct?
Yes.
So what is the total bill that their attorney fees is for the year? Anyone knows? Is it
A lot of it is passed off to the applicant.
Oh,
Okay.
Tom?
Yes, yes.
Tom, it's Heather. Can I interrupt? I'm sorry. That is not actually what it is. That there was, can you hear me?
She's trying.
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
I think we have drawn down because he was blaming, so it's not that fault.
Oh. Heather, I can hear you.
When they hear you, you can translate for me.
Heather? Yeah. Why not?
Here's something.
Moving on.
Justin, can you hear me?
Heather, I hear you crystal clear. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I think online can be heard. I don't know that they can hear us.
Now we can hear you. Now we can.
Hearing us.
Okay, can you hear
Okay.
me or only Justin and Crystal?
No, we can hear you, Heather.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So, in fact, that is not a resolution for planning board attorney fees. That is in fact transferring money out of the planning board budget into the attorney fees line. And that is because, there was a significant amount of excess funds in the planning board budget because, when the budget was very first established, there was an assumption made that the planning board was going to be reviewing the sewer extensions. That did not happen. DPW does that, so the planning board is not in need of those funds. But at the same time, the actual legal expenses for the city as a whole are underfunded at this point. So it's a transfer out of planning board into legal.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Felton,
Aye.
Castelli.
Aye.
Moranti,
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Kernhagen,
Aye.
Roberts,
Aye.
Brownie.
Aye. Aye.
Volo,
Aye.
President Pietro,
Aye.
carried.
The next resolution involves the Green Board maintenance charge act. And I didn't see, did you want to think?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. You.
I would have loved to have had a better explanation as to why we are charged so much more than we see.
We all would have. Can you come through?
I even tried to communicate and nothing happened.
Yeah. The Hail Mary can live off. Martin, did you want to?
Yeah, so this is the level at which we were funding them before, correct?
Correct.
So when they came before us asking for 200,000, And they-
250,000.
right, they never followed up with anything,
Correct.
so there's been no further communication on that?
Anything else?
No.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Felton,
No.
Castelli. Aye. Moranti,
Aye.
Mizan. Morris,
Aye.
Kernhagen,
Aye.
Roberts,
Aye.
Brownie.
Aye.
Sarwar,
Aye.
Volo,
Aye.
President Pietro,
Aye.
carried.
And the last week's resolutions, this is, approving the cooperation agreement amendment with the Hudson Housing Authority. Questions?
Yeah, can we get an explanation of this? I tried to go back to the 2019 agreement and then to this agreement. What happens after this one is setting it up? But first of all, can we get an explanation? I did talk to Crystal earlier today for everybody to understand why this agreement is in place, because this is a cooperation agreement, but it references pilots, and this is a property that is off the tax roll. So I think everybody needs to understand why this is necessary. Also, this has been switched to, instead of being at 30,000 per year, it has been switched to a lump sum payment. So what happens after 4 years? It's been 30,000 since 2019. There's no escalator or anything on this. So can we get like a
We
more
certainly can.
robust explanation?
Ben, would you like to address these questions?
Dick White and Austin, Indiana, so for that housing authority. Tonight, all great questions. So let me just introduce the teams of tonight. We've got Joel Lemke from Downco, the owner of the housing authority's developer of this project. Got Jeff Dodson, who is the executive director of that housing authority, and I got Carlos Espinel, who's the project manager. We've now been working on this. So a great question that you asked about why are we here? So under New York State law, property owned by housing authorities exempt from real property taxation. That's both in the RPTL and also in the public housing law. Years ago, when HUD was giving funds to municipalities, these federal housing projects like Bliss Tower. The policy of HUD was that even though these properties would be exempt from taxes, that the housing authorities should enter into cooperation agreements, or other words, they called them cooperation agreements back then, which is, if you actually look, that's what the first cooperation agreement for this was called, which basically provided that the housing authorities would pay a certain sum, usually it was 5% of growth of net rents, to the municipality, to reimburse the municipality for services that the municipality is providing to the housing authority property. Streets need to be paved, potholes need to be filled, roads need to be plowed, trash needs to be picked up, that type of thing. So that was the policy of HUD for decades. And so HUD would pay housing authorities a bunch of money through the year to be able to upkeep and maintain and run the housing authority properties. And then Congress, for decades, began to disinvest in housing authorities, disinvest in HUD, which is what led us to the problem that, you know, the Obama administration took on back in 2008. And they developed what was called the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program, RAD program, which would enable housing authorities to convert from Section 9 public housing projects to Section 8 public housing projects. So again, a housing project overseen by HUD with funding from HUD, but moves from Section 9 to Section. So back in 2019, I was counsel for the Housing Authority then as well. The Housing Authority Board approached the Common Council saying we want to do a RAD conversion. They had received what was called a Housing Assistance Payment Contract from HUD. It was important then to do it at that time because it's called the HAP payment was quite advantageous to the Housing Authority at that time, based on just where the federal government's budget was and what was happening with the Housing Authority. And so while the Housing Authority recognized that there were some challenges with Bliss Tower at that point in time, they determined to do what's called straight RAD conversion, which is a convert from Section 9 to Section 8. It locked in the HAP payment. So regardless of what Congress does with budgets, we have I think it's a 30-year agreement with HUD for these HAP payments.
And how much are they?
And what's that?
How much are they?
I don't know off the top of my head. Do you guys know how much your HAP payments are every year?
How much are they?
Yeah.
They vary because they do it based on, you know, like what we're renting and
Right.
different lease, but we put about 500,000 a year out into the economy year.
Yeah, so that those come, so that's, you know, other than the rent that the housing authority is getting from tenants, they're getting the HAP payment. That's really the source of funds. Those are the two sources.
Is that the balance of the voucher? So you're getting rent from a tenant and then you're getting payment?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's a Section 8, a private Section 8 voucher is a little bit different here. So these are project-based vouchers, right? And so they're attached to the project. Like a tenant can't just get the voucher from the housing authority and then walk down the street and give it to, you have a property. Oh, I want a house. Right, exactly. So it's locked to the project.
But it's the housing authority equivalent.
What's that?
It's the equivalent of a voucher.
Equivalent, yes, yeah. But it's not, it doesn't, the HAP payment doesn't necessarily work the same, way as a private, as a tenant-based voucher would necessarily work. But essentially, yes, the HAP payment makes the difference between what the unit rents for and then the entire cost of operating and maintaining the housing authority project. So in 2019, it was advantageous for the housing authority to do at that time. They did at that time. Part of what HUD required us to do as part of that RAD conversion was to redo the cooperation agreement with the city council, which the city council did. Several of you were here when that happened. And so that was part of a pretty robust review by the city, and that's where we came to there.
And that was for 30,000 a year.
No, that was for, I mean, it works out to 30,000 a year, but it was based on, yeah, it was essentially, yes, 30,000, right?
Yeah.
So it was how it comes out. So what's happening now is, if you look at the Bliss sub, or if you look at the housing authority site, so you've got Second Street that runs north and south. You got State Street bisects the two properties. You got Bliss Columbia Apartments on one side, the vacant lot on the other side, okay? And so the vacant lot is gonna be what we're calling phase one. Bliss and Columbia Apartments is what we're gonna call phase two. So the vacant lot, what the state is requiring us to do, and it's the state, it's also our tax credit investor, it's also our lenders for this. They generally require, or would strongly prefer, I would say really require, some sort of agreement, like a cooperation agreement with the local municipality that creates a system of level or expected taxation for the property. So the state's gonna dump millions of dollars into this project. And the way that they do that is by issuing 4% tax exempt bonds. Those 4% tax exempt bonds are offered out to pension funds and all sorts of other places that buy them. And that money is then taken and used to build the building here. Additionally, you're gonna have your tax credit investor who's coming in, who's going to be, paying a certain amount per tax credit and putting in millions of dollars into this, and will actually be an equity member of the development entity. You have a construction lender who's going to be providing a letter of credit, providing construction financing. So you've got all these people who are willing to take on the risk to help build this project, but they want to mitigate the risks. And one of the risks that they want to mitigate is that we could say, look, this project is exempt from real property taxes because it's owned by the housing authority. No criticism against your assessor, but some assessor down the road could look at this and say, oh, you know what, I don't think that this is actually exempt, and could just willy-nilly stick it back on the tax rolls. And if that happens, then there's going to suddenly be a different tax bill for it. And while there is ways to challenge that, it takes time to challenge that. And in the meantime, it creates an unknown surge in expenses, which then puts at risk the long-term viability of the project. And so what the state wants to know is because the state is going to allocate millions of dollars towards this project. And what they want to know is that they're allocating not a dollar more than that's needed, but also not a dollar less than that's needed. Because there's a lot of communities that also need affordable housing in the state. And so they'll say, okay, we're going to underwrite this. And so that's how Joel and Carlos and their team, they have together the development budget, but also the operating budget that looks out at this thing for 35, 42 years. And they want to be able, investors in the state want to be able to look at it and say, this thing's going to go for 35, 40 years without any, we've controlled the expenses we think we can control. Of course, there's some expenses that we can't, but we're going to control as much as we can. And so this is a big expense that can be controlled. And so the way they want to do that is through doing these cooperation. Sometimes we call them cooperation agreements, sometimes we call them a pilot agreement, sometimes we call them a host community benefit agreement. But at the end of the day, what it is, it's an agreement that provides that this property is going to be exempt from taxes. In return for that, the project is going to pay a set amount of revenues to the municipality. Now here, your question about $30,000. This is what's being proposed. What we're asking that from now through the end of construction, which would be 2028, that payments under what I'm going to call the Bliss or phase 2 agreement, okay, would be held in abeyance, and payments under this new agreement, instead, there would be a lump sum payment of $120,000 to the city when we close on our construction financing, which we anticipate to be sometime like July, fallish of 2026. So it'll be $120,000 payment.
Can I ask you a question right there? Because I have to go along. So phase one of the other things here is that you're separating the property into two components. And so phase one is the vacant lot where you are now going to be building the replacement housing for the current residents of Bliss. Once that's done, there will be demolition of Bliss. And
That's
then
part of phase 2.
that's part of phase 2, and then building of additional units.
Correct.
Okay, so is the separation taking the lot that where you're going to build the replacement housing for the current Bliss residents?
Yes.
And,
That's the new pilot.
right, and that's what the 120,000 is for.
The 120,000 is an interim payment to cover, because this is winding down.
Right.
Right, and so the housing authority at the end of the day, the housing authority at the end of the day, you know, only has the half payments it gets and rent from tenants. It's still got all the costs of,
Right.
like, you can't like just shut one part down, right? You
Right.
can't just shut one part down at Bliss. Like, so they've still got people throughout, so the expenses at Bliss aren't changing from whether it's full or empty, really. And so as it's being wound down, they still have a full plate of expenses, but half a plate of income. And so the challenges that the housing authority is having is, how are we gonna make these payments during this time that Bliss is being wound down and that we're building new housing? And so what we're asking is, and we're putting this in our development budget, is that this $120,000 municipal impact fee is gonna come in through our various funders and then be paid directly to the city, $120,000, which will cover.
Essentially a 4-year period.
Yeah, exactly, essentially. And then once, construction is done, which we're expecting in 2028, we would have, so the housing authority's been paying their pilot payment in arrears, so the whole year goes by, and so we want to continue that. So the first pilot payment, which would be for the 2029 year, would be due January 1, 2030. And so at that point, then what we've offered is, we've said $250 a unit, increasing every year by a certain percentage. I think it's 2%.
Well, there is an escalator.
Yeah, there's no.
That 250 is higher than the current.
Yes, the current is somewhere around 215, 220. 230, so we've increased it, what we've currently been paying, and then instead of having it be fixed to like how much rent's collected or whatnot, we just said we're just gonna increase it, and then we're just going to escalate it with an escalator for 30 years or so, right? So that will happen. So essentially, and then at the same point, what that allows us to do, and the reason why we want to separate this is because when it comes to phase 2, we want to be able to then come back to you and say, hey, we're going to do phase 2 now. This is what the project is, and we're going to do a new cooperation agreement that we're going to terminate the old one. I don't know if we're going to have the same investor. I don't know if we're going to have the same lenders. And so I do know that we're going to have the same stake, obviously, but what I want to be able to do is not have to deal with the investors and the lenders on phase 1. I just want to be able to say, okay, we've got new investors over here. And so now we're going to terminate the 2019 pilot, and we're just going to create this new pilot now for phase 2. And I would anticipate it would probably be a similar structure as this one. Payments per unit increasing over the term, something along those lines.
So, the reason I'm asking all these questions is that, what's in front of us, none of that detail was apparent. I was trying to figure out what exactly
Yeah,
this
that's great
is.
questions, yeah.
And when, Dominic and I started on the IDA, and usually when we're looking at something like this, we see all the financials, we see the 30-year, in this case, 35-year span, we see the escalators, all of those things are all lined out. And none of this either came before legal or before the finance department or committee. And so my concern is here, we're signing something. Yes, you're telling us all this detail now, but we have nothing in writing.
Well, you have to, I'll push back a little bit. I hear what you're saying, but you have a pilot agreement. And if you look at the exhibit to the new pilot, the new cooperation agreement, there is a schedule of what's being paid. Your council member is looking at it right now on his iPad. So it is there. So you can see what we intend to pay. I did include an explanatory email that kind of sets out what we're trying to do, here as well. In terms of the budget, the budget's not final yet because the budget's approved by the state. And so we provided a letter to you. I think that also got uploaded. And one of the things that we said is look, the budget's going to be public. The budget is a public document. We're happy to share it with you once the state approves it. Our challenge right now that we want to be able to close our construction financing, break ground in the middle of 2026. This cooperation agreement is a necessary predicate for us to get there. The Mountco team has been working on budgeting. They would like to get something out to the state.
I'm trying to find the document.
Crystal? Would you like to add anything to this?
Here it is.
As our
Oh,
attorney?
that's for me. That's, they have cones.
Honestly, I don't know that I have much more to add than what Mr. Hubble has added. I did go through, I saw that there was, this pre-existing agreement. It dates back to when Bliss Towers was originally constructed, which I advised the council of in an email today, and that there was the 2019 agreement that came in afterwards. With respect to the values that are being discussed, they have been provided. The $250 per unit was disclosed in the initial documents to the council. I don't have additional information to add to this. If there are specific concerns or questions that any of the council members have regarding, these agreements or any of the documentation or information, I'm happy to dig into it. But without a specific question on that, I'm not sure that I could provide additional information.
Thank you. You've seen most of the documents. Right? Yes.
Dan, I got a question. So how does it doesn't affect the structure of the fee base, like the water and sewer or the newly sidewalk fee, right? How's that different? That wouldn't be.
That's gonna be
Water and
the
sewer
planning
stuff.
board, right?
No, the payment, your water and sewer payment, right? That-
Oh, yeah, like, that's a utility charge, yeah.
Right.
So
It's no sidewalk.
Yeah, those, right, yeah, those.
We currently pay water and sewer as if we're fully occupied, and we're not. We pay about 20,000 a quarter.
That's a separate payment from.
And how does the sidewalk, have you figured out how the sidewalk fee is gonna work?
No, I
Do you
mean,
know that?
don't think they're in scope of the sidewalk, right?
What?
It's a new city structure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not sure if they're gonna be assessed.
I don't know.
yeah, it would be a special district tax, and I think generally speaking, we still make it.
It's a infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not an ad valorem. It's not an ad valorem or a benefit assessment. It was designed to work as a fee based on the frontage for the properties. Whether there was an assessment for the incoming or the, what we're looking at for 2026, I'd have to go back and take a look to see how these properties were looked at by the board.
So, so.
I would really like to table.
Hold
this
on,
to have-
hold on. I called for the vote.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Castellucci. Aye. Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
No,
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Roney.
Aye.
Sarver.
Aye.
Volo.
Aye.
President DiPietro.
Aye.
Carried.
Okay. Well, good morning.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
And thank you, Mr. Robert.
Have a great night.
that information, I'm really happy.
It's great, it's great to consider.
Okay, moving along with the new resolution. The first one.
More space now if you wanted to.
The first one approves the planning board as lead agency for this very project. And I have an introduction and set to Ron. And Ron, any questions? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Castellucci. Aye. Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris. Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts. Aye. Roney.
Aye.
Sarver.
Aye.
Volo. President DePietro.
Aye.
Carried.
The next resolution authorizes a lease agreement renewal, actually, more than a renewal, with the planning board, I'm sorry, with the property card option. Questions? Oh, I'm sorry, introduction and second, please.
Here.
Jennifer, and go on. Oh, I can see it. You got it. Thank you. Any questions?
I just want to make a comment, and thank Vicky for getting this done.
Oh, you're welcome. And I want to thank, and Mr. DePietro, and Jennifer and Margaret and everybody. And I wanted to thank the the pocketbook factory
Yes.
for doing such a beautiful job.
You're
with the
represented by
building.
Sean Rowland.
I haven't explored the whole building. I do think it's gonna be a little inconvenient for the residents until you actually have the new parking area. And it's great that you're gonna be renovating and making bigger. Until after that, we're gonna see things improving. But thank you so much for taking a building that it was pretty much in a horrible condition and.
Vicky, did you get a tour for that? Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah, we have the, yeah.
Gotta know she had inside access.
No, I just went, I actually went there. Went,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
They're doing a ribbon cutting that we were all invited. to.
Yeah, I saw it.
So it's probably gonna be
yeah.
terrific.
But I try to stop by.
It drinks on the house, right?
Vicky, you can have my.
That's great. He always looking for the end, you know?
Yeah.
Sounds reasonable to
Get
me.
the best for.
Sean, don't invite Lloyd, please.
I'm going to the Argentine restaurant, I don't care.
Move over. Okay, any more questions or comments?
Thank you for having a conversation with me.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Sassaludi.
Aye.
Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan. Aye. Morris. Aye. Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Rooney.
Aye.
Sarwa.
Aye.
Volo.
Aye.
President DePietro.
Aye.
Carried.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Next resolution is some transfers in the DPW. An introduction and second, please. Go on. Hello. Questions? These are, sort of typical end of the year transfers from Rob. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Sassaludi.
Aye.
Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan. Morris.
Aye.
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Rooney.
Aye.
Sarwa.
Aye.
Volo.
Aye.
President DePietro.
Aye.
Carried.
The next resolution authorizes an application for a grant for the technical assistance to growth grant. Can I have an introduction and second, please? Vicky and Tricia. Questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So, I think, is it for 200,000 or no, it's not? Is it 200,000? Yeah, I saw it somewhere. And we don't have to match it,
Correct.
right? So that, and what is this gonna be used for?
Zoning.
Zoning.
Yeah, so we applied for a grant for zoning in the summer from DOS. It's from the state, it's to an HCR. We don't know if we won the DOS one yet, the DOS one yet. They said that if we win both, we could just modify if we don't need all that money. But if we win both, we have a little more money on hand in case the zoning, the proposals are more than we have, the 200. So.
Do you have any idea where it can be used?
No, it's to do like a zoning study to update our zoning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which was,
Do you think it needs to be done?
which was, yeah, that's part of what the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
That's kind of
And make
the
sure that it's more
first stage.
updated, more accessible. Part of it's also trying to digitize a lot of it. We could like look online, like what what neighborhood are you, what zoning is applying, stuff like that.
So do you think we have a chance of getting this?
I think so. It's a brand new grant. They rolled it out in like October. They haven't done it before, but we're a co-housing community and then their application, you know, there's no match, so I think why not?
Yeah, but, okay.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Johnson. Aye. Sexton.
Aye.
Moranci.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris. Aye. Verhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Brony.
Hi, thank you, Michelle, for seeking that out.
Sarver.
Aye.
Lola.
Aye.
President DiPietro.
Aye.
Carried.
The next resolution, oh, this is interesting. The next resolution comes from the, thank you all, the Historic Preservation Commission. And it's a resolution to declare the Dunn Warehouse a historic landmark. Can I have the introduction and second, please?
I'll introduce.
Margaret and Rich. I'd like to say that, you know, the Dunn Warehouse has been a difficult building for the city to develop. I remember back when one council was prepared to sell it to the Galvin Foundation. In the first round, with the RFP that we sent out, and we picked a developer, they of course were prepared to go before SHPO, which is the State Historic Preservation Office, as well as the National Register of Historic Places. We have three proposals before us right now, before responses to the latest RFP, request for proposals, all of which intend to go before SHPO and the landmark and to seek out a national landmark. I'm telling you all this because I think this effort is redundant and just creates another layer of bureaucracy in the process of developing the Dunn Warehouse, which has not been easy and will continue to be difficult. Having said all that, get any questions to hand? I'm open to,
I have a
Mark.
comment, I have a comment. So, when Dunn and Dunn were trying to do their development, they went through the SHPO process. So the building has already received a SHPO approval as eligible for listing. So that phase of it has been done. What this does and what the, there are a couple of hands raised from the, performance or.
The thing SHPO doesn't apply.
What this does is it provides protections to the building, local protections. SHPO is how you would get monies through the state for funding for a historic landmark building, right? So that piece is going to be very important for the developers. But this also provides assurance that anything that is being done will have to go before the Historic Preservation Commission so that it provides a protection for the building that it doesn't currently have. And so I would strongly recommend that you vote in favor of this. I know that Mr. Dickey has his hand up and every councilman has finished. And
That's all right.
the foreman has his hand up.
You're not running the meeting once again, Margaret. They don't go next. They go after the council.
I just thought that.
Sir. First of all, you're incorrect. They have to reapply to SHPO. Secondly, SHPO does provide about the status of the building. And if you've been in the building, you know that whoever deals with it is going to have a difficult time. And that what the historic will do really doesn't affect that process much at all. And I have opened up to the council there. And again, what I say, it just means another level, another delay in the process of getting this building.
Are you saying passing this resolution will be,
Yes,
it would hamper the process?
I think so, yes.
So what,
By putting historical, restrictions on it.
from local restrictions?
The local restrictions, right? Which, by the way, are not going to be any different.
Where's,
Other two are.
so this is, okay, I see where the applicant is. Gotcha.
I don't know, I don't think it's gonna be a big delay, and I mean, it is a beautiful building, and we're just asking people to respect the historic landmark of our little, I mean, as soon as we arrive to the city and that's what you see, there's nothing wrong to ask them to preserve it and do it as, as thorough job as possible. I mean, what is the delay? It's gonna be what's next.
It's another layer. Already two layers. Bullshit.
I just,
Excuse me. I'm not.
okay.
Would not the historical status make the property more attractive?
It will, and they're both going to that. I mean, the two layers that we've already talked about in the landmark and the SHPO would already establish all that and prevent it from being, whatever. It would protect.
So what you're saying is that landmark status, in fact, overwhelms the historical status?
Not overwhelmed.
Or makes it redundant?
It's redundant. That's what I'm concerned. Redundancy and the time such.
You don't think that's the case, Margaret?
It's not redundant because.
Remember, folks, most of Warren Street is under historical preservation. That hasn't stopped any, development. That hasn't, occurred. Well, fair, but that hasn't really stopped us. If anything, has preserved the integrity of the town throughout the years. So I'm in favor of this, and I think that, it's good.
Yes. Historic preservation has done a fantastic job of preserving Hudson, as does SHPO and national status.
Can I comment on
Yes.
Gary's question? So the protection that I see here, Gary, is that yes, there is this future process of going through SHPO, getting state recognition and so forth. However, we actually have, and the HPC has recommended that only the council can designate this, the HPC cannot. They have recommended that we do this because that provides an immediate protection for the building. So we don't know what's going to happen. How it's going to shape out, what's going to happen with the state designation. But this gives the city some control and authority over protecting the building right away, which it doesn't have right now.
Yes,
Right.
Yeah.
clarifying question, just for my own understanding. So the proponents, you guys are saying that this designation would give a layer of protection from the city's perspective.
Yes.
But
Right.
from what I understand, the Historic Preservation Committee would be that protection, right? It wouldn't be the council itself.
It would be,
Correct.
correct.
The way it stands right now, every time an RFP or a project goes through, it's still the council that has
Correct.
the ability to
Right.
impose protections.
But we do not enter into, nor do we have the qualifications that the HPC has to look at architectural integrity.
Gotcha.
So we would approve a project and say, yeah, we're going to say, we go with this developer or whatever, but the HPC has a level of expertise.
But whoever is approving it from the council
Excuse me,
will be able, can I speak? Will be able to demand that it, go before a SHPO and the national landmark.
Right, when we go through the process, we can say,
The process.
we need you to get an okay from us.
Okay, there are, public would like to speak. I don't know who was up first. I guess.
Ron.
I thought it was Phil, but okay, Ron, we have your letter, Ron, so we,
Thank you.
Yeah. you want to add
I would
something?
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I would just like to make a few remarks in response to what I've just heard. First of all, I'm very sorry that the plan of Done and Done to lease the building fell through. I can't explain the reasons for it. Unfortunately, it happened. It is not the fact that local designation is redundant with respect to national recognition and recognition by SHPO. It gives more immediate protection to the building, particularly in protecting it from potential demolition. And it gives a more immediate and granular method of regulation, which can respond quickly to changes in the plans for the building. I find it very ironic that the council president is wondering and worrying about delay. It is not the fault of this particular administration, but this building, frankly, should have had SHPO and national recognition long ago. It should have been designated as a landmark of the city of Hudson, or at least included in a historic district long ago. There has been delay and delay and delay, and to worry about delay now, it strikes me as somewhat ironic. I would also note for the record that at the meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission, at which there was supposed to be a vote on the designation of the building there, but because of a delay in notification of the city, it didn't happen. Mr. Weaver, the mayoral aide, declared that the city supported designation. And finally, as I said in my email, I would like for the administration to confirm the membership of the committee, which is meeting to respond to the 3 RFPs, which apparently have been received. And I would like to call upon that committee, in accordance with the open meetings law, to conduct its meetings in public. And now Matt McGee would like to make a statement, if he may.
Yes, I would like to point out that the building.
We can't hear you.
I would like to point out that the building has not been, as far as I understand, it only applied for protection from the state, and that has not been done, as far as I understand. And I also would like to point out a crucial distinction between the protections that the state offers and that the city offers. In the case of demolition, when the state is protecting it, all you have to do is get a permit and tear it down. The consequence you may suffer, which is optional, is that you will not be granted any funds for rebuilding. That is it. If you accept funds for having work, for doing this work, then it will be supervised by the state. But otherwise, and even in the middle of all this, you can walk off from it and tear it down. So there's no equality here in what the state and the city can do, because the city absolutely can block tearing it down. And that makes a huge difference. The other thing I haven't finished. The other thing I would like to say is that when buildings have been landmarked, in my experience for more than 40 years, I've been following landmarks. I started in New York City, and I met with the commission there, and I spoke at their meetings, and I'm very experienced in all of this, and it raises the value of properties every time. The next thing I would like to say is a statement which I wrote for you today of the Democratic Vista on the Hudson River waterfront with the Dunn Warehouse as its centerpiece greatly enhances its beauty and is an asset of us all. That is the people of Hudson, and deserves to be given landmark status by the city of Hudson. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Foreman, would you like to speak next? Bill? Can't hear you. You're gonna unmute yourself. I can't unmute him, so. Bill?
I'll just pay for it. What is it?
Bill, can you unmute yourself?
Do you want to take Justin while you're waiting for Bill? Justin has.
I can take you out of there. Bill? No?
Better or worse?
Oh, there you go. What do you do? Just,
Can you hear me at all?
yes, now we can.
Oh, thank you. I apologize for that. I'm a little more used to Zoom. Anyway, thank you for giving me a couple minutes of your time. I think that the some of the language in this designation is kind of misleading. Landmark, and I want to come back to that. So I'm going to start with one thought that if you all believe that there is community interest in the waterfront and community interest in the buildings on the waterfront, this building specifically, the Dunn Warehouse, then as from the city's perspective, my perspective anyway, you don't have another option. If this building had been in one of the historic districts, we wouldn't have to go through all this rigmarole. And the normal course of business for buildings in the historic district, if they want to do some exterior work that's at all significant, they go to Craig, they come to us with the same material that would have been provided to Craig, basically, of engineering plans and specifications. And I don't get the word delay. We process 60 cases a year. We run most of our cases in 4 weeks. If this came before us, maybe it might take 6 because we're going to throw in a public hearing or 2. But the building is not in the historic district. Therefore, if you want local folks participating in reviewing the exterior structure of whatever the developer comes up, probably people are going to want to put in some windows and some more light. They might want to build an annex. We went through this process with the Opera House. It did not take forever. It went very quickly, and they also had SHPO on their side. But SHPO does not guarantee local involvement. We are local involvement. We're 7 people from Hudson. We have a very clear process of reviewing the external bits of the building. It does not take a lot of time, but it ensures that Hudson has a voice in what happens. The alternative is you can move on without the designation. The building will probably almost certainly get sold to a developer, and Hudson may or may not have a voice in the process. What we put on the table through historic preservation is a careful scrutiny. It goes by extremely quickly. A public exposure of what the builder is proposing on the exterior of the building, and the participation of our group, which is pretty darn good. It includes an architect, a historian. We don't stop projects. We help people get into compliance with Chapter 169. We don't interfere with anything that anybody's doing. Craig Haig participates in what we're doing, so you get a 2-for-1. Not only do you get a historic review of the exterior features of the building, you get one more run at making sure that everything that's going on is safe and building code, and we do that together with Craig. I cannot see any one bad thing about this, and I can't see why we don't got 4 or 6 weeks to do this right and to expose the public to the exterior of the building as it evolves from the developer, and let them put their thoughts into play in front of our commission.
Thank you, Phil. And don't think that what I've said is in any way a criticism of HBC. I think you do a phenomenal job and have done a phenomenal job for many years. To your comment about community, I'm not sure you're aware that this whole project and the development of Dunn has gone through lots of community comment during the last round. So the community's had a lot of that. That being said, let's hear from Justin Weaver, who also has his hand up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, first I want to give credit to Phil Foreman and the HPC. I've had the privilege to sit in the last few of the HPC meetings as it relates to this. One of their meetings became Looney Tunes over this topic, which Phil handled wonderfully. I just want to comment to Ronald Kopnicki's statement about how I mentioned that the city is fully in support of this historical designation, which is true. And, you know, I wanted to make that clear as the representative from the city. And I was, you know, in full support because we've dealt with SHPO and the state historical designation of the building. So all along, we've been in support of any historical designation. There have been local outlets that have made it seem as though we're rushing this along since the previous developers fell through. They didn't have enough money to, you know, continue. We put out a new RFP. To some folks, it seemed as though we were rushing to get this done. But a lot of people don't know how long this has been in play. And then there was this panic, like we have to hurry up and make this locally designated, which I'm wondering why nobody else cared about making this locally designated historical when the previous developer had it, and why all of a sudden there's this interest. And I'd also like Margaret to speak on the fact that she brought up that the $1 million vanished from the Dunn project when they had it. She made that a huge point in both HPC meetings, and I had to make it clear that it, you know, it went to another city project, HHA. So, but that hasn't been mentioned tonight, so I'm just curious why that was mentioned at HPC and not here tonight. That's all. Thank you.
Would you like to respond?
Yeah, I have no comment on that.
Okay.
Just talking about the designation.
Okay, so, yeah. Okay, Lloyd,
Tom, I just want to pay tribute to my mother, Doris Kane Kenning. She's very active in historic preservation, a member of the Roswell Landmark Society. I grew up with historic preservation in my household, week in and week out. She moved to church. My mom moved to church in Conesville, 4 miles to a property. All right. So this is why historic preservation, the people that are, and God rest her soul, Mom, I think that this council is going to pass this, if for no one else but for you. So having said that and paying tribute to my mom, rightfully so, even Robert Redford knew my mom's name. So anyway, Tom, I want to pay tribute to Tom also while we're here. He runs his meetings. Phil, you were 2 of the most superlative meeting runners I've ever seen. Anyway, let me make the point quickly here.
No, I think that was the point.
Sorry. So, as someone who's been going, I am getting to the point, but I had to do the tribute.
Okay.
And Tom certainly deserves a tribute because he's been here for 6 years. And he's been running this operation and putting up with this, hurting these cats and getting it all done. Yeah, I gotta go to the. So anyway, moving on and getting to the issue at hand that I would like to speak to directly. So Phil does a wonderful job of running the HPC. The HPC is the one council committee that meets twice a month. Twice a month. I don't know if, does anyone else meet twice a month here? So they get these things done. And I've seen them. I've been to, how many meetings have I been to, Phil? You know?
Too many.
I don't know.
The council also meets.
So what I'd like to say is this designation being, okay, I know it's a meeting at dinner time, okay? So what I'd like to say is that this designation doesn't interfere with these 3 proposals, but these 3 proposals could disappear. And what this will do is assure that the building doesn't get condemned or destroyed. And that was Ron's point. And I think Matt, whoever that guy was, and he made a very good point. Yeah, right, and I concur, and.
Okay.
Okay, can we?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm done. So, I'm trained the poor come out, I'll be done in a minute. It was a tribute to you that took all the time. Anyway, so I would like to see this designation put in place. It does no harm. The HPC will move, okay, and it only protects the building. And if you're okay with it being demolished, then don't move this proposal. But if you want to keep it, you want to have the building preserved, then move on this.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of a false dichotomy.
Sorry, there's one more on this.
I think we've got enough. Let's just vote.
I object. I had my
Okay,
hand
you're welcome.
raised.
You're rejected. We're voting now.
Councilmember Belton. Aye. Dax Balloon.
Aye.
Moranti.
I think it's important that we keep a layer of local influences and opinions on this, anything historic.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Maroney.
I don't see the real need for it, but I'm just gonna abstain because it doesn't make sense to me, but yeah.
Sarver. Rolo.
In memory of Lloyd's mother.
Oh, you stole my line.
Should I try to say something else or should I leave it? Yes, say it or
In memory of Lloyd's mother also,
Sorry.
I will vote yes.
Thank you.
let's see.
My mom appreciates it. You
Well,
really do.
Take care.
okay.
You know.
And now the common council knows your mother's name.
Doris.
I was gonna respond to what Weaver said.
So it was done,
Yeah.
and he gaveled.
Ron, could you mute yourself?
Mute yourself, please, Mr. Kopnicki. Okay,
Good job.
moving along to the next resolution. This authorizes the budget amendment to cover, the writer costs. Can I have an introduction and second, please? And Sherson. Questions? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Dax Balloon. Aye. Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Maroney.
Aye.
Sarver.
Aye.
Volo.
Aye.
President Pietro. Carry.
This next resolution concerns water and sewer rent arrears. Can I have an introduction and second first, please? Rashad and. Well, Heather, I know, you can speak to this directly, please. Heather? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry, can you put the resolution back up? Is this just the annual re-levy of the water sewer?
Right,
Yeah.
sorry. Just in case anybody needs their,
Yeah, so basically every year, the water department determines who has outstanding water and sewer bills. And they are re-levied, as of the, third quarter. So everything up to October of 2025 that is outstanding will be re-levied onto the tax bills. One quarter, the first quarter has either water or sewer and the second quarter has the other. City's been doing it for longer than I've been here.
okay. Any questions then? Roll call vote.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Dax Balloon. Aye. Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Maroney.
Aye.
Sarver.
Aye.
Volo.
Aye.
President Pietro.
Aye.
Carry.
And the last resolution concerns our council budget. That is to say, the lawyer for the council. An introduction and second, please. And a number. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Belton. Aye. Sexton.
Aye.
Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Robert.
Aye.
Brony. Star.
Aye.
Lola.
Aye.
President Pietro.
Aye.
Carried.
Can I have an introduction and second to pay the bills? Margaret and Dawn, vote. Dawn. Questions? We posted in there yet? Okay, the roll call vote.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Sexton.
Aye.
Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Robert.
Aye.
Brony.
Aye.
Star. Lola. Aye. President Pietro.
Aye.
Carried.
Okay, we have no business. I'm not.
No, there's
Hold on a minute, from the council.
Yeah, one business I have.
Yes, sir. From the public.
Well, I just want to recognize you, Tom, for all the work that you've done, and just like, out.
Save it for next. Motion to adjourn, someone?
Yes.
Second. All those in favor, say aye.
I'm waiting for the firehouse.
Oh, yes.